it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, and thank you very much for joining me again today for another Inspire Create challenge. And today we have a theme, and it is a very serious theme because it's sympathy. Unfortunately, we do often have to make cards to let people know that we're thinking of them and that we're there to help them. So I have put together this card which uses paper from the Come Sail Away suite, and then I just realised I'm umming a lot, I apologise. Then I'm using Very Versailles Well Said stamps and the Well Written dies. So I am putting quite a lot of product into the one card, but it's one of those cards that, if you've got the product, is fantastic for all sorts of cards. So it's really to show the versatility of all these products. Now you could, if you wanted, the stamp that I've used for the inside is the Know That Love, Prayers and Caring Surround You Today. You could, of course, always use the Always Thinking of You from Very Versailles. So if you don't have the Well Said stamps, and it's a two set, if you see what I mean. There are 51 stamps in the combined set, but because I was using the dies come in the first set, and this was the more appropriate set for a sentiment inside. But you could, as I say, always use the Very Versailles Always Thinking of You instead. So let me show you how it's made. It's not difficult at all. If you can do heat embossing, you can make this card. So we're starting with a long, thin... ooh, a dragonfly has just flown into my room. That could be interesting. Okay, well, we'll be hoping it... Oh, good, it's flown out again. Couldn't think what it was. I thought it might be a very, very large wasp or a beetle, but it wasn't. It was a dragonfly. So I've cut my card in half the long, thin way. You could obviously use the short, fat way, but as I've said before, it's easier for me for photographing if I do it long and thin. I've got a Whisper White mat for the inside because this is basic grey, which is not easy to write on. I've got my Designer Series paper. Apparently they're coming to take me away, haha, because we've just had blues and twos through the village, which is very unusual. Then I've got a basic black mat and a black mat, a basic grey mat and a black mat. Good grief. There are moments when I wonder why I don't just give up and start the videos again. Anyway, I'll leave the dimensions on my website. That's linked below. These are slightly different dimensions, so not ones that I have to say I've held in my head, but I will give them to you for metric, both imperial and metric measurements, and also US letter in imperial. So let us get started. We're going to start with the basic grey layer and just the one stamp from the Very Versailles. I'm going to heat emboss, so I need my embossing buddy. So let's spread that around nicely so that we know we've not got any sticky fingerprints. Now this is, it's not advertised as a distinctive stamp, but it is that same kind of pixelated image, but it does still work really nicely heat embossed. So all I'm going to do is from the top stamp and just make sure that I've got that pressed down well, and then grab my silver embossing powder and dabble my stamped image in my embossing powder, and then turn it over and dabble it the other way round, just to make sure I get a really good coverage where I want it, and just always check that it's not where you don't want it. And I do tend to check the back as well, and then just flick gently to make sure that any excess is got rid of. Right, okay, trusty cheese board time. So my bamboo cheese board and my heat gun. I'll get my heat gun going while I'm talking. So this I'm going to just slip onto my cheese board. The cheese board does help because it's bamboo and it absorbs the heat well. It also reflects it back up. So here we go. And as I always say, I can't watch this enough. It's amazing! I'm going to come up from the other end because this will help flatten it out a bit. So it is worth thinking about, you know, do you want to keep going in one direction or do you want to change direction with your heat embossing? Because by coming from the top and the bottom it flattens it a bit. So that is the really complicated bit. I have already, for speed, die cut the Sympathy just in some silver foil. So that's already done. So we'll be using that in a moment. Right, lots of multi-purpose liquid adhesive on the back of our mat because it is a bit curly. So we need to make sure that we give it a lot of help to flatten out. So when I say lots, I don't mean lots, I mean put it in a lot of places, but not too much in any one place. And then pop it onto our mat, make sure it's in the right place. And I press quite hard, but I hold one end just in case it moves. And then that is that. I don't know why I've just put away my glue because I need it. So let's pop this out. Come on, out you come. Just ease that out. And then, now if we look at this one, most of the Y is falling off the edge and a little bit of the S. So that helps me know where I'm going to put adhesive. So there's not going to be anything on the Y, which means I can hold that to make sure body and soul doesn't move too much. And then just tiny little dabs of glue in any of the larger spaces, just to give it a chance to actually attach itself. You don't need a huge amount, it's a good glue. You just need a little bit in a few places. So I'll just bring that down and then just make sure we've got it on our descenders. I was trying to think then what they were called, and they're descenders. These are ascenders, and anything that goes below the line is a descender. I've got a pair of tweezers that I quite like to use just to attach these things, and then just pop it onto the card. And this is where these descenders actually come in really handy, because you want those to basically be in a straight line. And you can line them up against this bottom edge. And then again, I'm just going to press from the back. And while I've got it turned over, pop some dimensionals on. And I do use a reasonable number because, again, we've heat embossed the top layer, so it's still a little curled up. So if we can give it a bit of a help. And I'm using the new black dimensionals, which you can get in the Autumn Winter catalogue tomorrow. Whoa! Tomorrow we go live. No, today. What am I talking about? It's today. Sorry, I'm recording this ahead, so I don't always remember. So that's all ready to go. I'm just going to do my stamping for the inside of my card, and then I'll put everything together. So I've grabbed my basic black ink and just ink that up. My husband has just come back from a long lunch. I can hear him driving in. So stamp that, and we can pop everything together. So I'm going to fold my card base in half, and as I say, it's just half a sheet of A4 that I've scored in the middle and folded. And then grab my piece of designer series paper and my snail, which I can't see for looking. Have a sneaking suspicion I may need a new one very, very soon. Let's hope I've got enough to at least do this card. Yay! Okay, so we'll pop that on the front of our card. And then take the backings off the dimensionals. And now these ones I don't draw lines on because they're white covers and black foam, so I don't need to have a visual for whether I've taken them off or not. And then I'm just popping this down towards the top right hand corner like that, and again I'm going to press the back, and then, as much as anything, because I'm not sure I've got enough snail, I'm going to use multi-purpose adhesive to adhere one to t'other. I think I might need a new one of these soon as well. Just as well, I managed to get some ordered. Okay, pop that into our card. And there we are. So that is our second sympathy card. So particularly when they catch the light, they're not too flat and dull, but I think they kind of, you know, they serve their purpose. So I hope you enjoyed that. You've seen me use the Very Versailles a number of times now. You can see it's really, really versatile. So if you're thinking about a stamp set that you want backgrounds and to use for men, for women, for any occasion, this I would highly recommend. Do remember that if you're in the UK, you can shop with me, and I will list everything below. The dimensions are over on my website, and there's a link to that below, where you'll always also see a list of the items for this. Do remember to use the host code when you shop with me, because then you get to share in the host rewards. And also remember that I do sunflower rewards. So for every £30 you spend in any one order, you get a sunflower reward. And when you've got 10, you get to choose a stamp set for up to £30. So always a bargain, free stuff. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to go over to the website, my website, to get the link to see all the other examples. There are some fantastic examples. I wrote the post for the Inspire Create Challenge blogs website. This is not English. I've seen them all. I got to see them all because I wrote the post on the Inspire Create Challenge website. That's what I meant to say. There are some really, really amazing projects. So, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon when I may have a brain. You never know. Bye!